The Swords of King Arthur. In the old world, when England was a wild and dark place, adventure and danger, good magic and evil spells were waiting everywhere. On the day Prince Arthur was born, his father, the good King Pendragon, laid the baby in the arms of Merlin the magician and said, "My son and I have many dangerous enemies. Take him and hide him in the home of a good knight who will love him and bring him up to be a good and honorable man. And when he's old enough, Merlin, please help him to take his rightful place as king." And so Arthur grew up in the home of Sir Hector and never knew he was a prince. 16 years passed, and the old king died. Then one day, in the shadow of Canterbury Cathedral, there appeared a massive marble stone. No one knew who had brought it there. Through the stone was a sword, sunk as deep as if a giant had driven it in. And round the base were the words, "Whosoever draws this sword is the true King of England." Everyone tried, but the strongest man in the land could not so much as move the sword. Arthur, who was only 16, laid his hands on the hilt and drew out the blade as if it were a knife wedged in butter. Only then did Merlin show himself to Arthur and to the astonished crowds. "Take the throne, Arthur, and rule wisely and well." "But Merlin, sir, I'm only a boy. How can I be King of England?" begged Arthur. "You are Prince Arthur, son of Pendragon, and it is written in the stars that you will be the greatest king of all." As soon as Arthur had been crowned, Merlin's magic and wisdom protected him. The ageless magician taught the boy the language of the animals, the healing power of herbs, and the skills of battle. The people began to say, "Arthur may be only 16, but he's a good king, the best we remember, the best England has ever had." Heroes and knights flocked to his court at Camelot. Arthur ordered a huge table to be placed in the great hall. There he sat and discussed the affairs of England with his knights of the Round Table. And because the table was round, no one felt more important or less important than anyone else. Not even the king had a place of honor. The knights of the Round Table swore to help the weak and to drive all manner of evil out of the land. One day, as Arthur and his men rode out from his castle, they met a young knight so badly wounded that he seemed likely to tumble off his horse. "What's this?" said Arthur. "Who did this to you, sir?" "My name is Griflet. I come from fighting Pellinore the giant. He set up his tent in the river gorge and says no one may pass without fighting him. He's so strong, my lord king," said the knight. "Stay away from him, I beg you." "No, by my sword, I won't. I'll be revenged on him for the hurt he's done you, Griflet. Men, cover my shield and take the crown off my helmet. I'll fight Pellinore alone, and he'll never know he's fighting the king." Riding to the river gorge, Arthur saw a pavilion ahead. Beside it grew a tree, and on one branch hung an enormous shield. Arthur banged on it with his sword. "Who goes there?" boomed a gigantic voice. Out rushed the tallest knight Arthur had ever seen, brandishing a huge lance. "I forbid you to pass!" "No man forbids me!" cried Arthur. "Then we'll fight!" Pellinore mounted, and they rode at each other. 3 times they charged. 3 times Arthur's lance gouged into the giant shield. But at the third charge, Arthur was flung from his horse. He got up and drew his sword. Pellinore did the same, secretly admiring this brave young knight whose shield bore no crest. Their swords clashed again and again. The king weakened, and Pellinore drove him backwards against the stump of a tree. Arthur tripped, and as he fell, Pellinore slashed at Arthur's sword with such fury that he smashed it to pieces. "Kneel and beg for mercy," cried Pellinore. "Never! I'd rather die." "Then die. But before I kill you, let me see your face, for you fought bravely." Pellinore tore off Arthur's helmet and looked into his face. But he did not recognize the newly crowned king. He raised his sword to strike. "Stay your hand!" Someone stepped out from the trees. It was Merlin the magician, Arthur's own teacher. Pellinore recognized Merlin at once. After all, the old man had been famous throughout England for 100 years. "Would you kill the King of England?" Merlin demanded. Pellinore stared in horror. Then, in desperation, he said, "If this is the king, I must kill him, or he will have me killed when he gets back to Camelot." But as Pellinore's sword began to fall, Merlin pointed a long finger at the knight. His magic struck like a thunderbolt. Pellinore dropped to the grass and lay as still as a dead man. Arthur struggled to his feet. "You should not have killed him, Merlin. He beat me in a fair fight." Merlin put an arm round Arthur's shoulders. "He's not dead, my boy, just sleeping. And you won't send your knights to kill him, will you?" Arthur sighed and shook his head. "No, but oh, Merlin, the sword I pulled from the magic stone is smashed to pieces." Merlin only smiled. "Then we had better pay a visit to the Lady of the Lake." He led Arthur along a winding path which led to a peaceful lake. It seemed deserted. Suddenly, an arm clothed in white silk appeared out of the waters of the lake. In its hand was a sword in a scabbard, and the hilt was studded with jewels. "Whose sword is that?" whispered Arthur. "It can be yours if you choose, though one day you must give it back to the Lady of the Lake. It is her hand you see before you." When they had rowed out to the heart of the dark waters, Arthur leant out and took the sword from the pale hand of the Lady of the Lake. As soon as he grasped it, the arm slipped out of sight. Back on the shore, Merlin said, "The sword has magic power. It will help you to conquer your enemies, but the scabbard is just as wonderful. While you wear it, you will never lose one drop of blood, no matter how badly you are wounded." "Then I'll wear it always, and the sword I shall call by name Excalibur." As Arthur and Merlin rowed away together, an echo rose from the reed-fringed lake. "Excalibur! Excalibur! Excalibur!"